See, I made sure the mic was working. We are good to go, man. Grand Rising, happy Friday. I'm feeling optimistic today. I'm feeling optimistic today. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to figure this thing out. And perhaps we just needed, a little bit of our back against the wall, a little bit of that rock bottom feel in order to get maybe not us on board, but the masses. All right, the masses. I had hey, critical. All I'm gonna say is I got give me literally 10 seconds. All I'm gonna say is go look at the post that I put up on Black Guy in the Corner yesterday that we put up. And of course, you can't judge somebody. It's a Nick post. Nick was saying some things that I was actually appreciative of. But obviously you can't judge somebody, if you feel like they're leading you in a bad direction for months and then they come out and say something, obviously I know if you're not, I get it. I get all that, but I am feeling positive about things, and not just because of that, but we're in a pressure situation. We're in a pressure situation. So in those pressure situations, we can either tense up, get tight, get nervous, all these things that I'm sure a lot of us feel with all this fear that, a lot of times is manufactured. But when we look around at the things that are happening, I think at this time it's very much justified. So I'm still feeling good. I'm still feeling good. And perhaps the threat of America having a downfall and this empire falling is exactly what we needed. Perhaps a punch in the face is what we needed. And I've been hearing a lot of people. And side note, like as you're joining, we want to boost the algorithm. But I've been talking to a lot of people, and I don't know if it's okay to say or if these are traitor type of words, but a lot of people have been saying, like, yo, is it okay if I don't want any American troops to die. Definitely not hoping for that. But, or even if people say, I don't want any Israeli troops to die. But a lot of people are saying, and let me be real, most people are talking about America. This is our country. It is what it is. And a lot of people that I'm talking to are saying, like, look, I don't want American troops to die, but if I was rooting for anybody to win the war, or if I look at, what would be a better outcome at the end of this war, a lot of people are saying Iran. A lot of people are saying I, Iran. A lot of people are saying Iran. And even though they are saying in Iran like me, but when you look at this situation and the more we learn about it, the more we even hear from representatives from Iran, I'll be real. Like, especially we're getting ready to play a video of the foreign minister of Iran. And I believe that's the person that had the interview with Tucker Carlson. And I remember when I watched that interview as well as a bunch of other clips of him, I was impressed. It didn't sound like the evil regime that they were making it out to be. Now, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it's not. But what I'm saying is what's being presented to us, perhaps being glorified or not glorified, but being demonized in such a strong way. It's like now when we look at these people and we're like, it sounded kind of sensible to me. So this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to read a couple of y'all amazing quotes to start off the day. And then we're going to get into a little bit of an update on Iran with the foreign minister interview that he just did an interview with NBC. Then we're going to get into a video from Professor Jiang that I believe was actually before we decided to strike. This is actually maybe from a couple months ago, a video that he put up that predicts this downfall of America, and not even predicts the downfall of America, but says that the downfall is already happening. So I want to take a look at that video. And then there's a video Big Bro Finn he put up on X that I was watching, consume my AM this morning, or my consume my, y'all know I try not to say morning, but it is what it is. I don't know. It's just something with me. It's just something with me, and nothing against anything, but yeah. But consume my start to my day. So, and then we have a couple other little clips here and there. But let's start as we always do. Welcome in everybody. Shout out to Big Bro Finn. Reality does not require your agreement. Truth is unchanged by denial, and the cost of ignoring it is always paid in the end. I like it. I like it. Shout out to my sis Samira. She's having a lot of food this morning. Nah, I'm joking. Good morning. Yeah, I got it. I got it. We saw the next one. We saw the next one. S- Big Bro Steve, civilizations die from suicide, not by murder. Let me repeat that. Civilizations die from suicide, not by murder. That's Arnold Toynbee, Study of History. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. We got the most honorable. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with a full heart and without expecting them to remain forever. The Honorable Marcus Aurelius. All right. And critical. I saw this. I saw you write this earlier. This Mandela effect crashing me out. I find it fascinating. As with a lot of these topics that you present, I have to do my due diligence. I'm not even familiar with this Mandela effect. I feel like I've heard that term before, maybe, but I'm not familiar with it at all. So we'll have to dive into that because I saw that. Hold on, it was you and Samir. I think that we're talking about that Mandela effect. So we'll have to take a look at that. Shout out to Alex in the building. Hopefully, all is well. Alex, Grand Rising, everyone. Have a fantastic Friday. Absolutely. We got Bubbles in the building. We start off the show with Bubbles, and then it's obviously a pleasure to have Bubbles here. Morning, everyone. Shout out to you, Bubbles. Let's see. Let's see. Critical. Critical. Critical coming in hot. The CIA has been exploring various forms of subliminal and behavioral programming for over 75 years, beginning in the late 1940s and early 1950s. My theory. The CIA has been exploring various forms of subliminal and behavioral programming. Yeah, yeah. I'd say perhaps even longer than that. Perhaps the CIA just got it from some other techniques here and there, but this has been going on. I mean, when you think about subliminal and behavioral programming, what do you think when you enslaving people and you force them to adopt a form? I'm not even going to say your religion because I think it was presented in a different way. We've gone over this, a bunch of times as far as the religion, Christianity, how it was taught to black people, enslaved people, compared to how it was taught to or embraced by white people. It was just different. It was just different. But that's exactly. I mean, I don't know how else to categorize that. That is, I don't even think that's subliminal. That's just behavioral and mental programming, and it's been going on for a very long time. And when you think about whenever you either conquer somebody or whether you're trying to control them from a government standpoint, that's what you're doing. You're programming them. And so this is, I think this has been going on for far longer. Perhaps the CIA has been doing it for 75 years, but this is just what happens. This is just what happens when I conquer you and I control you. You need to adapt to how I say society should run. So I'm gonna either do it by force or I could do it by coercion. Coercion. Why am I feel like I'm saying that word funny. I can coerce you. Coerce you. Yeah, that sounded a little better. Um, and obviously, when you're mentally manipulating somebody, that falls into that category. So I'm definitely with you on that. Shout out to Unk in the building. What's up, Unk? Good morning, Grand Rising. Shout out to Unk. We got Big Bro Robert in the building. Howdy, y'all. Howdy, Robert. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. All right, hold up, hold up. We got some. What's up, Shen's Dojo? Shen's Dojo. Is this your first time tapping in or just first time jumping in the comments? Well, either way, we appreciate you being here. Either way, we appreciate you being here. Everybody say what's up to Shen's Dojo. Y'all know how we welcome people. Got sis in the building. What's up, Antonise? Good morning, y'all. What's up? What's up? Got Phyllis in the building, bright and early. Great day to everyone. Shout out to you, Phyllis. What time is it? 5:15 and are you in Orange County? I think you're in San Diego, right? I think. If I messed up, then correct me. Definitely correct me. Samira wrote, Iran is hiding weapons in the mountains. That's a fact. And this is what I think this is what I've been watching a lot of videos on this. I don't even know if this is the one that we're actually getting ready to review with Professor Jiang. However, he was using a term and it was I forget exactly what the term that he was using, but pretty much like even though America's army is so superior to Iran, when you're fighting on Iran's terms in those mountains, in their territory, they can prepare and set traps and do certain things that we may not even be aware of. And a lot of reports are coming out saying that even though America is acting like, we're winning this thing by a landslide, a lot of reports are coming out saying that they're doing a lot of damage to a lot of our bases that we're not reporting. I mean, could you imagine Donald Trump going up there and saying, yeah, we're losing, it's not going well? But I tell you what, I hear America talking more about, hey, they should just give up. They should just give up. And I'm getting ready to show you this video of the Iranian foreign minister, and he's like, "Yeah, we're not asking for a ceasefire. Like we weren't asking for a war. This is defensive, but we're not asking for a ceasefire." So I I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Shout out to my brother Boogie Bug in the building, Grand Rising Bug. All right. Unc said, I beg the difference when it comes down to winning. I would only wish that America wins, but I wish the law would take its place and that they would wake up this administration and do away with the idiocy. The idiocy. All right, so I can't talk this morning. Nobody wins. And this is, matter of fact, Unc, I'm glad that you brought this up because in all actuality, nobody wins when it comes to killing each other. I think what a lot of people are saying, and Unc, maybe you may relate to this, is that Iranians, whether you disagree with certain things that are going on in their country, I don't know what's going on in their country. Things are so propagandized that I really don't know. People are saying 100,000 people were killed in protest. Then I look up the numbers and it says like less than 1,500. I don't know. I don't know if those numbers are correct. I don't know if that, I don't know. They turn off the internet. Maybe one of the reasons why they turn off the internet is so, Western culture can't propagandize people and rile people up in order to even start the protests in the first place and create a lot of the chaos and division that we as America have been trying to create, not only in Iran, but in a lot of these countries. That's our play. That's what we do. So uh, I think what a lot of people are standing on as far as like them saying, well, I'm kind of rooting for Iran, is that Iran, when you just look at it and take your bias of being an American out of it, it's like, bro, just leave them alone. Like they didn't do anything, they didn't strike. Like they were in negotiations where they're thinking that things are going well, and then out of nowhere they're getting a strike from Israel. Unc, are you rooting for Israel to take more land? I don't know. You get what I'm saying? I think that's what a lot of people are thinking around this. They're removing their bias by just being an American, because that's what has gotten us in trouble and has us complicit in a lot of the things that we do, this evil that we commit, attaching ourselves to Israel and other countries, perhaps mainly Israel when it comes to that region. But that's what has gotten us in this position in the first place. And if you go back to that letter that Osama bin Laden wrote, that's what caused 9/11. So if we just root for everything America and never check America, and I know that's not necessarily the same thing as saying like, hey, I hope that we lose, but I mean, shout out to Phyllis. Here comes the sports analogy. Sometimes losses are necessary. Sometimes losses are necessary to kind of check you and put you in your place a little bit because you're getting a bit out of control. And perhaps, I mean, I think a lot of us have said that Israel has gotten completely out of control when it comes to that region. Let me rephrase that. I've said that Israel has gotten out of control when it comes to that region, and America has gotten out of control, bro. You can't just be picking off presidents of Venezuela, and now all this stuff is starting to even make even more sense. We thought, a lot of people were saying, you're crazy. This has nothing to do with Israel. This is Venezuela. Yeah, well, perhaps that oil that y'all wanted to take over, perhaps there's some sort of connection between now us going into Iran when we know that region controls a lot of the oil. It seems like America is just drowning, and we're just grabbing at whatever we can. All right, we need more natural resources. All right, let's take their oil. Okay, Israel's trying to take their oil. All right, we'll join Israel in taking their oil. So we'll just take over all these regions with oils, and we'll control all the resources, and that'll be how America gets back on top. So I tell you what, the more I talk about it, the more I understand exactly what people are saying. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I want America to lose, but I don't necessarily want Iran to lose. If I'm being real, I don't think that is right. I don't think it's right what we're doing to them. I don't think it's right. And I don't just fix my mind to just say, okay, whatever America decides to do, that's right. That's what I'm rooting for. Nah, I'm not rooting for America to lose. whatever that is. I'm not rooting for any Americans to die. Matter of fact, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at the fact that American lives are even at risk for what? I'm pissed off at Donald Trump and them. I hope Donald Trump and them lose, but I also understand that them losing means that a lot of American soldiers are gonna be killed, and I don't like that. But I also, two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true. All right, all right, let me kind of move down. Let me kind of, if I can, I'm hoping. Shout out to Mark in the building. So Mandela effect is gauged to see how their MK Ultra mind control is working. Oh, all right. All right. So this may be one of those days where y'all where the chat is more popping than than anything that I'm saying. I can see where this is going. Shout out to Storm the Pit Bull. Shout out to Storm in the building. The Abrahamic religion was imposed through mass violence across Europe and then throughout the Americas. We got to be real. This stuff has been going on. We got to be real. And this is what I mean. Us, think about all these things that America has been guilty of committing to Americans, committing, whether it's from slavery on to whatever else, we've been involved in. The reason why a lot of it has happened is because Americans just go along with it. Well, I'm not going to go against my country. I'm not going to go against. Well, you don't go against it, then you gotta deal with the same things that come your way. If this is gang, think about it as a gang. You keep hanging out with all these people that are shooting this other gang. You keep being complicit with it. You keep hanging out with them. You keep riding in the car with them. Well, you're gonna suffer the same repercussions and consequences when you may get caught by somebody else in the other gang and you by yourself. You can't just, this has nothing to do with me. I was just in the car. I was just holding the gun. I loaded the gun. I didn't shoot the gun. Yeah, well, you're involved. Either get out the car like Cuba and Boys in the Hood. Either get out the car and remove yourself, or if you're in the car, you may suffer the same fate of the retaliation when it comes your way. It is what it is. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. I'm trying to make sure that I catch up with everybody. Shout out to Alex in the building. I think all right. So now I think I think I went up too far. All right, I see John in the building. All right, let's get into the video. Shout out to John, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Once again, hit the like button if you haven't already. And we're going to start off with a little update from the of Iran. All right, let me get this shared on the screen for y'all. All right, boom. We're going to figure this out.
Attack. Video showing a drone striking in Azerbaijan. Tonight, the alarming airport attack. Video showing a drone striking in Azerbaijan, injuring 4 people. The country's foreign minister saying more drones hit, including near a school, calling them Iranian terrorist attacks. It's the 15th country Iran has struck with drones or ballistic missiles since this weekend. Today, we spoke to Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, about those Iranian strikes.
Why are you attacking your Muslim neighbors during the holy month of Ramadan?
Oh, please don't mistake. We have not attacked our neighbors. We have not attacked Muslim countries. We have attacked Americans' targets and Americans' bases, Americans' installations, which are unfortunately located in the soils of our neighbors.
But Minister, Iran is...
Hold on. You know what's so ironic about all this? It's like he's asking them, why are you attacking your neighbors? Why are you attacking your Muslim neighbors? Well, America has bases in America. So are those really our allies? If you're sitting with our ops and allowing our ops to, giving them a comfortable space to fire missiles at us, a comfortable space to hang out at when they're trying to get some rest in order to go and get ready to kill us, are those really our allies, or are those really our Muslim brothers? And I wonder if this same logic is applied when it comes to Israel and Palestine. Because what did he just say? What was the foreign minister? What was his response? I'm not attacking our brothers, but they have bases. They have bases there, right? So I wonder if this reporter would ask Benjamin Netanyahu, why are you attacking these hospitals? Why are you attacking these places where Palestinians are? Well, Hamas is there. Hamas is there. So if it's an acceptable excuse here, I just don't understand why it's not an acceptable excuse there. And this is even like, bro, you got your bases there. We have our military bases there. So how they present things and how we perceive things, I just kind of try to point out the hypocrisies in a lot of ways. And maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe I'm seeing it the wrong way, but I just found that interesting.
Hitting civilian targets, striking hotels, high-rise apartments, airports in many of these countries. Those are not military targets.
Well, no, we have targeted very well. The Americans are. Maybe there have been some collateral damages.
Another one. Well, Israel's striking churches, they striking schools. Like, I just want this to be consistent across the board. Like, y'all see it. My fault. I shouldn't have interrupted because we all see it.
As it is in every war. This is a war of choice by the United States, and they should be held responsible for all those damages.
Minister, NATO said they shot down an Iranian missile, which Turkey says was in its airspace. Are you creating new enemies every single day?
Well, we have, our military has denied firing any missile to either Turkey or Azerbaijan.
There's video of the missile on the ground. NATO has said this was fired by Iran.
Well, there is no reason why we should fire, a missile to Turkey, which is a good neighbor of us. Also, there is no reason to fire, drones to Azerbaijan. We are investigating what has gone wrong regarding these missiles or drones.
Now, I got to be real. When he asked, why did y'all shoot this at Turkey? He didn't say we didn't shoot it. He said, well, we've said that we didn't shoot it. Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, he kind of didn't say, like, we did not shoot that. So they said that they're investigating it. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that didn't give off too much confidence on that one when it came to that missile going to Turkey.
It comes as the Pentagon says America is winning decisively against Iran in the joint U.S.-Israeli operation. That they have complete control of the skies and are taking out Iranian ballistic missile launchers.
Ballistic missile attacks have decreased by 90% since day one. Drone attacks have decreased by 83% since day one.
President Trump tonight.
As soon as they set off a missile, within 4 minutes, the launcher gets hit. They don't know what's happening. But we have the greatest military anywhere in the world.
We pressed the foreign minister.
The Pentagon says America is winning decisively. Do you think they're wrong?
Well, I think, now 6 days after the war, it is clear that the U.S. Has failed to achieve its main goal, which was a clean, rapid victory. They failed to achieve that, and now they are trying to justify why they did attack us.
Minister, your supreme leader was killed. Your top military leaders were killed. Your military installations have been bombed. How can you call that a failure?
Well, then what they have achieved? What was their goal? They came here for a regime change, perhaps. They came here for a rapid victory so they can, control everything. But they have failed. The system is working. The commanders have been replaced, and the supreme leader is going to be replaced soon, according to the procedures set by the Constitution. So everything is in order.
Can Iran win this war, and what is winning?
If that's the energy, if you could just keep replacing pieces on the chessboard, I don't know how this is going to end, because he pressed him and he said, like, yo, your supreme leader's going, your whole leadership's dead, supreme leader's family's dead, like. But see, I think this is the difference, and y'all tell me if y'all are seeing it this way. Iran is fighting a defensive war. Like, for Iran to win, they just can't allow Israel and America to take control of their government. For America to win, America has to, have a regime change, destroy all their missiles, destroy all their nuclear capabilities. It's a defensive war when it comes to Iran. It's an offensive war when it comes to Israel and America. So if their energy is like, all right, you killed somebody, we just replace them. How long is this thing going to go on? And we don't know. And I saw I think I said yesterday, or maybe on the live on Wednesday, that I looked at the Iran military page, and they were talking about on X. I don't even know if it's official, but somebody them put out a message talking about like, yeah, this is just the stuff that was in our warehouse. Like, y'all wait until we start actually bringing out the weapons y'all never seen before. So it's just like what we haven't even defined what actually the goal is here. If you listen to some of our politicians, they'll say, oh, it's just to destroy the nuclear weapons. You listen to other politicians, it's, oh, this is we need a regime change. Now Donald Trump is saying that he needs to be involved in who chooses their next supreme leader. But then if you listen to the real big homies, the people that are actually running things over in Israel, they're saying, nah, we've been waiting 40, 50 years for this. You don't wait 40, 50 years to just destroy some nuclear facilities with some bunker busters or whatever we did last year when we were supposedly when we supposedly destroyed all their nuclear sites and whatnot. They're coming for regime change. So I just don't know how this, like, where this is going. Like, this just seems like a forever war. If America, which we know we have a big ego, we have a president with a big ego. I don't know if we're willing to stop or if Israel's willing to stop until this gets real ugly. And at what point will other countries get involved as well?
Set by the Constitution. So everything is in order.
Can Iran win this war, and what does winning look like for Iran?
Well, there is no winner in this war. Our win is to be able to resist against, their illegal, goals. And this is what we have done so far.
Right now,
when he gets, that's a big, big question and a big answer. That's a big question and a big answer. And the reason why I say I already told y'all why I think it's a big question, but the reason why I say it's a big answer is because can you imagine if Donald Trump was asked that question? Are there any winners in this war? But that's a very responsible response, in my opinion. There are no winners in this war. We just want to, keep governing our country. We just don't want somebody taking over our country and dictating how we run our country, acting as if they got their stuff together in all their other countries and in their countries. Like, we don't want Israel taking over and building on their greater Israel project and taking control of our country. They've been trying to brew this war for a very long time and convince America to do it. And they finally got, the president that now is willing to do all this dumb stuff and actually follow through with it. But that's a very mature response, in my opinion. That's the response that I would want my leader to have. There is no winner in this. Now, once again, could you imagine if Donald Trump was asked that?
Goals, and this is what we have done so far.
Right now, you're saying Iran does not want a ceasefire.
We are not asking for a ceasefire. And we don't see any reason why we should negotiate with the U.S. When we negotiated with them twice, and every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations.
So who comes next after?
We're not asking for a ceasefire. And why would we? Why would they even start negotiating with America? They just were negotiating with us, thinking everything's all good on a Thursday. And then over the weekend, now it's almost as if negotiations were going too well, so Israel had to intervene and strike. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know how else to present it or frame it. I'm not trying to sell y'all on anything. I'm just trying to observe. But I see how they're trying to sell it to us. That's what it seems like. Yo, we need to act now. Negotiations are going very well. And America and Iran, they may have some sort of peace deal. We need to strike now. That's what it seems like happened.
And every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations.
So who comes next after the Ayatollah?
There are reports that Ayatollah Khamenei's son is a front runner. Is that true?
Well, actually, I have don't exact information. There are many rumors around. But we have to wait for the assembly of experts to choose the new supreme leader.
We asked about the American submarine that took out this Iranian battleship with a torpedo.
The world saw your battleship sunk in the Indian Ocean. Dozens of Iranian sailors died. Your response was, quote, "Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret the precedent it has set." So what is Iran going to do? And at this point, given the state of your military right now, what can you do?
Well, first of all, that was a training Navy, training ship, which was invited by the Indian Navy to take part in an exercise. The ship was unarmed. So attacking an unarmed ship full of, training officers and sailors is, a war crime, I have to say.
What type of battleship, Minister, excuse me, but what type of military would allow a battleship into the ocean with no weapons on board?
Well, because it was, the goal was not, their aim was not going to war. They went for an exercise.
And tonight, Israel striking Iran.
Yeah, I don't know about from a leadership standpoint. Like, bro, don't put me out in no ocean doing no exercise on no. I don't know about that one from a decision standpoint. Like, give me a gun or something. Give me something.
Iranian internal security forces, it says, are responsible for those recent brutal crackdowns on Iranian protests. We spoke to one man inside of Iran tonight who asked us to conceal his identity for his safety, telling us his reaction to the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes.
I was exhilarated that finally someone stood to these nasty people who just machine gun empty-handed protesters.
Now he's worried.
Nah, bro. Put a face on it, bro. We're not doing all this goofy stuff. See, this is where the propaganda starts to come in for me. Now this is where the propaganda comes into play. And I don't know what's true or not. I don't know if they are really taking machine guns on protesters. I have not seen the footage of that, so I can't verify that. Y'all tell me, have y'all seen the footage of that? Because can you imagine what they're saying about America when Renee Good and Alex Preddy or a George Floyd situation happens? It's like, we got to, well, we understand that we murdered protesters with, 9mm. So in order to propagandize this and really make it seem like their government is even more evil than our government and our police and our law enforcement, then we got to say, well, they're actually mowing down their protesters with machine guns. I don't know. I just haven't seen the footage. So matter of fact, let's hold on. Let me ask. Let's see if we can find the footage. Is there footage? I'm gonna ask these AI channels. Is there footage of Iranian protesters being killed with machine guns? I just want to know if it is, then I can, obviously respond accordingly. So it says, yes, there is a video footage from the 2025-2026 protests in Iran showing security forces firing heavy weapons towards crowds. All right. And the reason why I sucked my teeth is because I saw that they were putting out, they had metal pellets, and though the exact weapons used in each clip, rifles or machine guns, is sometimes hard to confirm. All right, so they don't. Oh my God. You just can't make a statement saying it's machine guns. And I'm talking to ChatGPT right now, and I go back and forth with Claude. But Claude, y'all told me to jump on this Claude wave. Claude has not been as good as ChatGPT to me. Claude just doesn't answer questions. I asked Claude about 20 minutes ago, or maybe 20 minutes before the show, about this Nancy Mace resolution with the sexual misconduct. I don't know if we'll get into that. And they said, oh, we haven't seen anything about that. Then I asked ChatGPT and it gave me all the answers. So Claude, I'm noticing picks and chooses. So maybe they need to update some of those things. But you can't sit here and say, yes. I said, is there footage of Iranian protesters being killed with machine guns? You say yes. And now it's like, well, it's hard to determine, what the actual weapons are. Verified videos reviewed by journalists show armed security forces shooting live ammunition at demonstrators. Amnesty International says credible video and eyewitness evidence confirms authorities use firearms and lethal force. Where are the videos? Hold on. Let me see if I can you find me a link to the video? Let's review. Yes, here is one of the videos investigators and media outlets reference showing gunfire during Iran protests. Let's take a look. I'm going to share it. Hold up. Hopefully we don't get flagged. This is for informative purposes only, YouTube. All right, let me see. Where's the window at? Here it is. Here it is. All right, let's take a look. I haven't seen this. All right, we're not gonna play too much of that. I don't. Something's being fired clearly. I don't know if it's giving machine gun energy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's metal pellet guns. I don't know. But I'm trying not to be biased here, but the bias does creep in. So let me be very clear and honest with y'all. My bias is to not believe things that I hear about other countries that we're trying to invade in order to extort them for their resources or ulterior motives that they're then the ones that they're presenting to us. That's where my bias comes in. I'm being real with y'all. I have an extreme bias when it comes to the things that are presented to us by media outlets in order to justify us going in and committing regime change with other countries, or justifying us going in and grabbing Maduro and blowing up their little boats or whatever that allegedly are drug boats. I'm telling y'all, I have a bias. I tend to not believe rather than me believe. That's just based on look at how we've grown up. All the things that we've been indoctrinated with, all the things that we've been presented half the truth as the full truth. And then how do we see things? That's my bias. But let's keep going with the interview. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this.
The strikes will end too soon, allowing the government to stay in power.
Just help us. I'm afraid if the help and military action will stop so they can recover. And again, after stopping, they will come and hunt for us. Even if my house is bombed by US or Israel, they are not responsible. Regime is responsible.
You talk about mental manipulation and indoctrination. This person just said, even if my house is bombed by the US or Israel, the US or Israel are not responsible. The regime is responsible. They have caused this. This is giving real Hamas energy. It's not Israel's fault that we had to destroy 80% of Palestine. It's just blame Hamas. It has nothing to do with us. Just blame Hamas. Okay. All right. No responsibility. Cool. Let's move on from this video. This video was sickening. All right, let's can we go to Professor Jiang? This is the video that I wanted y'all to check out. This is the video that talks about why we get in a lot of these endless wars, and perhaps why we're behaving in the way that we're behaving as a country. So let me share this, and we shall begin. Everybody take a couple deep breaths before we move on to the next video. Take a couple deep breaths, have a couple woosahs, and let's get into it.
The issue is that when empires decline and die, they do not so peacefully. And so what we're
yeah, hold on. Somebody wrote. Somebody wrote, yo, RB30 wrote, the accent is very Israeli. Yo, I wasn't going to, it's funny because I'm like, yo, why do they sound like that? And that, yo, now that you mention it, oh my God. Oh my God. And all right, so y'all on the same page. I hadn't looked at y'all responses. So Phyllis said, what bullshit is this? Don't believe this guy. Everything our government and media tells us, I definitely take with a grain of salt. That's just, yeah. Yeah, and Finn, you're right. Professor Jiang is on a generational run, and I'm glad that I'm here to witness it.
The issue is that when empires decline and die, they do not so peacefully. And so what we're seeing right now, as you say, is a decline of the American empire. But when an empire declines, it engages in certain counterproductive activities. So, for example, it engages in too many overseas military commitments. So what we're seeing, of course, it was the Venezuela kidnapping of Maduro. Now we're seeing that a huge armada has assembled around Iran. It is possible that the Americans will strike Iran at any time, possibly today, tomorrow. But very quickly, Trump has talked about annexing Greenland and Canada. He's talked about blockading Cuba. He's talked about regime change in Colombia, in Mexico. So this is what an empire decline looks like. It's very, very traumatic for the world and for America itself. On the domestic front, you see ruptures everywhere. So if you've been following the news about Minnesota, there's almost like a civil war going on where you have a heavy militarized opposition going on. You have the Minnesota local police who are being harassed by ICE agents, these off-duty police officers who are of color, Latino or Black. They're being stopped by ICE agents and being asked for their papers. And I think this is all very deliberate to provoke them. Tim Walz, who is the governor of Minnesota, has deployed the National Guard to guard certain buildings. So you have three possible forces, the local police, the National Guard, and the ICE and Border Control, all in Minneapolis right now. And as you know, just yesterday, an American citizen who was 37 years old, Alex Pretty, he is an ICU nurse. He was executed in cold blood. We can only call an execution based on the video evidence so far. I understand that the Trump administration said that the ICE agents were acting in self-defense. If you just look at the videos, if you just look at eyewitness.
Now, obviously, this is from a while ago, but I just like the fact that he's connecting all these things, and he pretty much is connecting all these things to America is that irrational kid. America, this may be America's version of the Samson option. What we're witnessing and experiencing right now may be America's version of this Samson option. When you look at our country, being in the type of debt that we're in, having all the infrastructure problems that we have, bringing in 10 million migrants that we can't take care of, having us have a civil war against each other where we probably can't stand each other and hate each other more than ever. And perhaps it was even worse, I'd say, during the election. And the only thing that now has brought a lot of us together in a weird way are the people the few people, I shouldn't say the few, but the people that can actually acknowledge that, yo, Trump ain't it, bro. The people that can acknowledge, the people that voted for Trump, and now I'm one of them, and now can say like, nah, I'm not with this, bro. This is not it. This is not it. And now there's kind of, I think that it's hard to actually say, even though the polls were saying that there were a lot of Democrats that were disappointed in their candidates. I don't know to what extent. I don't know to what extent. I have not seen Democrats calling out Democratic voters calling out the Democrats as I've seen with Trump supporters calling out Trump. I haven't seen anybody with Nick Fuentes energy, with Candace Owens energy, with Tucker Carlson energy, like the big name people, the Theo Vons, the Joe Rogans. I haven't seen to that extent people on the other side calling out the things that the Democrats have done. However, the point that I'm trying to make is now I think a lot of us, because we're seeing where the country is going and we do not like where the country is going, people are now like, yo, if we don't fix our country, if we don't get a grip on this, our country's going down the tubes. Like, this is it. If we don't figure out a way to course correct, where does this leave our country? And when I say our country is going down the drain, it may be that there's a couple years or a short period of time where, okay, we got Venezuela, we're extorting them. Okay, even if we go into Iran and we take over Iran and we're able to, figure out what's going there, extort them of some of their natural resources, it may appear for a short period of time like we actually won something or things are getting it. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it helps our economy. We got that evil is going to come back. And when we're using all these military resources while China and Russia, they're just sitting back, letting us drain all of our resources, whatever it may be. I don't know if we're prepared in a way to deal with if a lot of these countries that may be allies of Iran, if they decide at any point to say, you know what, we'll get involved. We'll get involved. I just don't know. I just don't know. Let's keep going.
Testimonies, he was a man who was disarmed and then he was shot in the back. And then the ICE agents start to round up eyewitnesses and confiscate their mobile phones. So it seems as though these ICE agents are, for whatever reason, they're trying to incite a civil war. And there's fear that it's possible that one ICE agent might be shot by a sniper at some point, which would allow Trump to declare the Insurrection Act. But also possibility of a shutdown in Washington, D.C., where the government no longer functions. There's all this talk about the Epstein files and how the entire billionaire class in America is implicated in these Epstein files. So right now in America, it's really a powder keg, and this powder keg can go off at any moment. And there's talk of ICE being deployed to other cities as well throughout the nation. Again, Trump is just looking for any pretext right now to declare the Insurrection Act, which would allow him to delay the midterm elections. And yeah, it's a very, very dire situation for.
I was not aware of that. And a lot of people have said that, you know, one of the reasons why Trump wants to get into this war, or with us being involved in a war, and why they're saying, hey, we don't know when this is going to end, is because if we're at war, he may try to use some sort of backdoor in order to seek a third term. And I didn't even know, even from the midterms, that you can actually delay midterms. If we'll take a look at what Professor Jiang said again. Like with this Insurrection Act, you can delay midterms.
Out the nation. Again, Trump is just looking for any pretext right now to declare the Insurrection Act, which would allow him to delay the midterm elections. And yeah, it's a very, very dire situation for both Americans and for any citizen of the world right now. So what's happening is that the hypocrisy of the American empire has been exposed. Everyone understands that the American empire only believes in might is right. In fact, Mark Carney has said this as well at the World Economic Forum in a speech that received a standing ovation from the audience. So across the world, there's dismay, there's disgust at the brutality, at the mafia tactics of the American empire. I mean, the fact that the Americans can just violate a nation's sovereignty and kidnap their president. And then not only that, but to hold him before, he was put in a van and he was paraded on the streets of New York, and now he's being tried, even though according to national law, as the president of Venezuela, he does have immunity, and he's being charged with domestic American laws for example, gun possession, which is just ridiculous. So this entire thing is a farce. And now,
damn, Professor Jiang is that guy. But I wanted to go back to what he said. Sometimes he speaks fast, and I'm trying to just get a pause in. He said, "Oh man, did I forget what he said? Hold on. He was talking about. Give me a second.
Tactics of the American empire. This entire thing is
the whole might is right thing. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of you live by the gun, you die by the gun. We have just been that bully. Might is right works when you're in your prime, right? When you're in your 20s, your 30s, you know what I'm saying? Maybe your 40s, your 50s, whatever, right? It's almost like a shout out to Phyllis. It's almost like an athlete that relies solely on just athletic strength. You know what I'm saying? They just rely on their strength. They rely on their speed. They rely on just their athleticism, not necessarily their skill, not necessarily their knowledge. When you get to a point where your body may not be able to do all those things, or you may not be the mightiest in the jungle, you can't then turn around and be like, whoa, might is right. No, we got to be diplomatic here. No, if might is right, if that's the energy, then usually what happens is everybody else starts to adjust to that energy. Oh, might is right. That set the tone. This is the society that we're living in. Okay. Everybody else is usually working a little bit harder than the person at the top. And when they start to catch up, and maybe when they start to unite together, it may end up being a problem. Because right now we've justified everything with might is right. So pretty much we're giving the green light to any other country, any other countries that want to unite against us and take over America, strike America, do whatever it is that they want to us. Might is right. Do something about it. Do something about it. That's pretty much our energy. You don't like what we're doing, then do something about it. That may come back to haunt us.
A farce. And now, Trump is talking about annexing Greenland. I know that at the World Economic Forum that he sort of compromised with the Europeans, but I guarantee you in a week or two, in a month or two, he's going to go back to threatening to annex Greenland. And it's possible he sends in some troops to annex Greenland. So just the pure mafia tactics of the American empire, I think, has disgusted the entire world, including in China. And I think that if you examine what's happening in the United States right now, it's clearly a civil war. It's being fought between the Democrats and the Republicans. I think behind these two parties lies different vested interests. So when the Republicans are mainly the financial global elite as represented by Wall Street, and that's the old power, and they came into power through Clinton and Obama. Then standing with Trump is the new money, the Silicon Valley elite as exemplified by Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, and they want to create an AI surveillance state. So these are the two major factions fighting out in America right now. And these citizens, unfortunately, are just pawns in a larger game. And that's why my great fear.
Oh, time out. Did y'all just see that? I haven't seen the videos like this. Like, this is really what things are about to be. Matter of fact, I apologize. Excuse my ignorance. I said this is what things are about to be. If they're showing us what's about to be, then in my mind, it's already happening. If they're showing us what's about to be, it's almost like that technology for that iPhone, right? The technology for the iPhone. Everything that this phone does, they had the capability and technology probably 20 years ago. But they don't release it to everybody. They have to slowly release these things, right? They still have the technology. So just because they're not exposing it and unleashing it to the public or making us aware, like, think about it. Is it that far-fetched to believe that our country, it's almost like naive to think that our country, our government would expose all of the technology that they have and provide it to us or make us aware of it. That wouldn't make sense. They're trying to control us. What did we talk about earlier? That's their goal, to control us, right? To manipulate us, to mentally, to not necessarily do it with chains and shackles, but to have us enslaved mentally. This is what, oh man, shout out to Peter Thiel and Palantir, man. These, damn, bro. These people, man, these people. I'll tell you what, maybe what we should consider. Can you really imagine the type of bunkers these people have? Can you imagine the type of, all right, what's that TV show, Maya, that show Paradise, where they live in an underground, I think it's like an underground bunker. And remember, they got to show us stuff in TV shows before movies, before they actually do it. That's what they say. But can you imagine the type of preparation that these people are making when these nuclear weapons start being fired? They are going to be well prepared, because think about it from this standpoint. Would you even allow, like, if you were that powerful, would you just be okay with just like willy-nilly just starting wars? I said willy-nilly just starting wars, threatening, like, if I'm living an amazing life, I don't want, don't cause any disruption. Life is good right now. Please, like, just, let things be. No, life is not good. Americans are not good. Our American country is not doing well. If we were doing well, we probably just like, we don't need to get involved in all these other things. We're not doing well. We still have this colonizing mentality. And sooner or later, it's going to come back to us. It's going to come back to us.
State. So these are the two major factions fighting out in America right now. And these citizens, unfortunately, are just pawns in a larger game. And that's why my great fear is that what's happening in Minnesota will escalate, will spread across the country, and it will engulf the nation, especially if Trump decides to take a third term, which I suspect he will. The great danger right now is...
Hold up. Hey, you good over there? Hey, sure, don't play like that. You good?
That Trump is creating loyal bases among the military. Okay, so I think that Peter Hegseth and his reforms in the Pentagon, it's really to weed out people who are not loyal to Trump and create a army that is more loyal to Trump, so that when he does seek a third term, essentially when he launches a coup d'etat against the Constitution, he will have the muscle in order to enforce this. ICE is turning out to be his secret police to get Gestapo, and they're being very loyal. I mean, the fact that they shot an armed woman, really good, and then now they've shot another innocent American citizen, means that they are increasingly violent and therefore more and more beholden to Trump, who is their warlord. So that's a great danger right now in America, where Trump could be the Julius Caesar of our age, which is what also Spengler predicted in his works. And I think that the trends are clear. I think that we're moving towards that direction. And I hate to say this, but given historical trends, it seems as though Trump will succeed. It seems that he will get his third term, and it seems that the military will be more and more loyal to him, especially as he seeks more and more victories overseas. So I'll make a point that in Donald Trump's national security strategy, okay, he argues that multilateralism is dead. It's a lie. And multilateralism is just a pretext for the Europeans, the British, to free ride on American military power, on American generosity, basically. So he says in the future, America is going to put self-interest first, like above everything else. Okay, and so America says this, and I think everyone should be doing this, right? China should be doing this. The UK should be doing this. Europe should be doing this. Okay, you should put national self-interest above everything else, because that's the world we live in. Okay, the American empire, it's dying. America is trying to cling on to this empire, and now it's just devolved in this mafia empire where might makes right. And so every
man. Oh, hold on. So Critical said, Critical, you're not, you think that he's just fear mongering? You think more so he's just fear mongering? You don't think he's speaking facts? You don't think he's just, it's hard for me to disagree with anything that he said. Let me ask you this. Because what do we always try to do here? Instead of just saying somebody's wrong, or instead of just accusing somebody, let's say, oh, that's just fear mongering. What about what that he just said do you disagree with? What specifically that he just said do you disagree with? Because there may be some things that I'm missing, right? All of our biases create blind spots for us. So I'm just asking, what specifically is he wrong about? Because everything that he's saying, I just find myself nodding my head and like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. That, okay, yeah. Well, I knew that. Okay, I thought that too. Or, oh, damn, I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of, you get what I'm saying? So just let me know exactly. Okay, so you said that, yeah, facts can be presented in a way that is propaganda. Okay, so it's not necessarily anything that you're saying that he's wrong on. It's just the way that he's going about saying it. Okay, I'm with that. I understand.
Nation needs to act in its own best interest. And right now, as you say, the EU, it's a huge bureaucracy that's not capable of being innovative, that is not capable of being strategic. So it just continues to be what it is, and it's leading to disaster. Right now, what the EU should be doing is trying to negotiate as quickly as possible an end to this war in Ukraine, because it is not helping anyone that this war continues. And the longer that this war continues, the more people will suffer. But instead, the EU is continuing this war in Ukraine because honestly, these are bureaucrats and they do not know what else to do. They don't.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there, and of course, you guys can always take a look at the rest of the video. But the reason why I'm stopping is because I did want to get to Finn's video, and I have to wrap up a little early because I have a meeting at 10 that I got to drive to. So, but y'all know me, I've been going live a little bit more. We're gonna go live over the weekend too, so don't get too upset with me. Don't get too upset with me, even though I like y'all getting upset, because that means that y'all want to be here. So it's all good, right? But I did want to get into a bit of this video. Before we get into this video, what are y'all thoughts, man, on Professor Jiang? Let me know in the comments. Do y'all think it's being presented more as fear-mongering? And do y'all think that he's spot on? Do you think he's exaggerating? Do you think that he's just wrong? What are the feelings? What are the feelings when it comes to the things that he's saying? And, pretty much what I heard is that, America is on its downfall. And like a lot of things, the fall from what is it? The fall from the top is not graceful. I don't even know if that's an actual saying, but typically when people fall off, man, it's not a graceful fall. It's not a graceful fall. Like a lot of people, we see a lot of these instances in a lot of different areas where it's like, like they couldn't handle just moving to the side a little bit, or maybe going to second place or third place. Look, some people are cool with going from first to second. Other people are not, by any means necessary, are staying in first. That's their mindset. So that's what it seems like the energy of America is. But I may be wrong. I may be wrong. All right. So All right. So let me so Cash, shout out to Cash in the building. Good to see you, Cash. There's a great book called How to Lie with Statistics. Propaganda is 90% truth, 10% lies. It's all how you present it. I like. All right. I'm here for the reminder. I'm here for the reminder. Finn said, big bro, Finn said, I find myself agreeing with Professor Jiang. He's just talking common sense based on game theory. That's what it seems like to me. John said, hasn't he predicted a lot of stuff already? Yeah, he definitely has predicted. And matter of fact, I should have used the word shit, because a lot of it has been shit. The things that he has been predicted, but as in it hasn't been good things. But yeah, he has been making some predictions. Okay, America as a society, a free society, is going to collapse, but not the war machine. All the power of the U.S. military will go into the new world order. So America will collapse, and there will be a new America. There will be, I guess what we're saying, a regime change. But will the regime, is there going to be a regime change that is able to use the same military force? Or are we saying that the current regime that's in power is just going to change the way that America has gone about things, where they're going to create the new world order? Like, are we saying that Donald Trump is going to use the military to create a new world order? Or is that the new world order is going to be a change of regime and using our military? Because obviously our military, in a might is right, setting, if we keep living in that type of space, then, whoever takes over is going to have some control over the guns. So it'll be interesting. Oh shoot. So Critical said Iran is out of water, bro. No water. I've heard some stuff like that. Let me see. And Mama Lay said, yeah, we got to make sure the whole fam can tune in. What time on the weekends? Last time it was late where Finn lives. Sometimes on the weekend, I try to relax a little bit on the weekends, but I just try to not necessarily make a schedule, but I'll try to make sure that I'm tuning in. So everybody, so Finn doesn't have to be up at 2 a.m. Because we need everybody on board. Look, this is a united front. We all we got. So definitely. Shout out to Tyrone. I've only met a few Americans and they were all good people, but I've lost all respect for America. Well, Tyrone, I don't know where you're tapping in from, but just so you're aware, Americans have lost respect for America. And this is not necessarily anything new. I mean, look at us. It's either like, look at what we get. We either get leadership that is programming our kids to transition their sex, cut off their dicks, and do whatever, or we get the neocons. That's what it's literally been. That's what Joe Biden's number one priority, he said, was the LGBTQ community. And I don't necessarily think that it was the LGB. I think it was just the T. Obama had the LGB, and then Biden was pushing more with the T's and the Q's, probably leaning more in the direction of the T's, even though I'm not really sure what the Q's are, so I can't really say that. But it's either like, yo, we pushing that energy, or it's neocon. So I think a lot of Americans have lost respect for America. Is what it is, unfortunately. Let's keep it moving. The 10 Kingdom Plan, the Council of Rome. I got to look into that. Finn said, I've watched hours of Professor Jiang's content. I find his lectures very engaged, so I might have biases, but I find myself agreeing with his take. whether it's propaganda or just opinion. That's where I find myself. And I think that Professor Jiang, it may be, you know, how you present the information, like a lot of people have said. I think that we're not necessarily maybe used to other people just talking like as directly about America as he is. And you know, maybe I'm sure Professor Jiang may have some biases too, maybe, I don't know, but I find myself agreeing with him a lot. But like I told y'all before, I'm biased. I'm biased. So that just is what it is. All right, so let's get to this next video real quick. Let's just get to this video real quick, and we gotta definitely follow up on that water issue. All right, so we'll at least watch a few minutes of this, but I think it's worth watching. Hold on, let me see. So it says, I think the title of it is "We Are Livestock. It Was All a Lie." All right, let's take a look.
Unpack something that is horrifying. What people call reality, it's all fake. This isn't going to be another YouTube video full of vague fluff. This is not a metaphor. This is reality being replaced layer by layer. There are 6 layers, and you've only seen the first one. Reality used to be grounded in direct experience. You lived through it. But now, reality is mediated. You don't experience events anymore. You experience coverage, pre-framed interpretations of ideas, avatars, personality, costumes, personas, and masks. A headline starts replacing understanding. A brand replaces identity. A political label replaces a human being. You're not living inside of reality. You're living inside of a symbolic layer. If symbols become dominant, truth becomes optional, because truth doesn't need to be accurate anymore. It just needs to be repeatable, emotionally charged, recognizable, and socially enforced. That is the simulation. Brands figured this out first, because we don't buy products, we buy a story about ourselves. So that's a word that you hear constantly, brand. And it comes from the Old Norse word brandr, and it means to burn. Specifically, it means to burn a permanent mark into livestock. So ownership is obvious and sorting animals out is easy. You are being branded by advertisers, political narratives. The system knows what you're going to react to, what you're going to defend, what you're going to buy, and who you're going to hate. So layer number 1 is mediated reality. This is why the world feels off. It feels theatrical and overacted, scripted, predictable. Because it is. Empires figured this out thousands of years ago. If you can control the symbols, you just need to control what people react to. People have to adopt the symbols. Now people are shaped by metrics and algorithms and visibility and approval signals.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I was just trying to pause it. Took me to YouTube. All right. Damn. Think about it. Everything that we see, everything's about branding. Everything's about telling a story. Everything's about us accepting the story behind this company, behind this brand, behind this salesperson, behind this politician. Everything is programming from the day that we are born. You know what's scary? You know what's scary? Like when we think about our upbringing, we can see how we've been programmed by different brands and whatnot. But when we think about now with technology and how our kids are growing up with all the screen time, now it's like, whoa, if this is bad, if we are bad right now, what are going to be the results when all these kids that are growing up on iPads, what are going to be the results when they get older, when they become our age? It's going to, everything is properly, everything is fake. Everything is just based on conditioning. Everything that we see, how we see the world, is based on conditioning, based on our previous experience, based on our previous trauma, everything. It's all conditioning. And when we realize that the people who are conditioning us are doing it for their interest and not ours, that's when it becomes a bit scary. But it's good for us to just recognize this. That's why it's good to watch these type of videos, because like anything else, if we have a problem, then we may not be able to go back and deprogram ourselves of all the things that we learned our entire lives. But at least moving forward, when we draw those connections, when we see, oh, damn, if based on how I was manipulated growing up, I see how I can see this situation a bit differently. Based on how I was taught about Israel, the Holocaust, all these different things about after 9/11 with Muslims and all these, I can see how it would program me now 20 years later, longer than that, as far as when the education aspect, how I'm supposed to see this current situation. And then you start to play it back like, oh, damn, well, how long has this type of stuff been going on? When we look at all the things that we just accepted in society for thousands of years, and we sit back and look like, damn, how could they have accepted that? Everything is probably based on programming that happened years before in order to justify what's currently happening. Or maybe I'm just going down a rabbit hole. I don't know.
There's a very secret name for what all these things are, and they are called conditioning signals. Whatever gets rewarded gets repeated. Whatever gets ignored disappears. So people adopt. They simplify themselves, they exaggerate themselves, they flatten their entire personality into something that's shareable. So they become more extreme, more predictable, more performative. So people aren't asking, is this how I feel? They're asking, how will this be received by other people? And over time, something breaks. Because when your external performance doesn't match your internal experience, there is one universal response. We feel hollow. This is the death of authenticity, which brings us to layer number 2, human conditioning. Once this is in place, training is what replaces learning. And they do this through algorithmic reinforcement, repeated narratives, emotional escalation, social punishment, visibility rewards. Information has to change shape because information creates understanding. So the system replaces information with content. And this brings us to layer 3, the collapse of information. So what's the difference between information and content? Information answers questions and content stimulates responses. Most of what fills your feed, it's not meant to be important. It is meant to occupy attention, trigger emotion, maintain your engagement, and prevent silence from entering your life, because silence is where thinking happens. This is why everything feels urgent. You feel engaged. You feel aware. You feel more mature. But nothing ever resolves because resolution ends the engagement cycle. It's designed to make you feel like you're participating in it. Which brings us to layer number 4, fear and identity control. Humans evolved to survive in small groups where exclusion meant death. That wiring has never changed. Belonging used to come from family and tribe and shared work with other people. But now it comes from follower counts and group identities and digital approval. So conformity is enforced with social threat. You're quietly warned and you're shown that not reacting might be suspicious. Questioning the frame is dangerous. So people react publicly.
That's a good point, man. We used to think about even from a sense of family. We used to, I believe what he's saying, and maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but when we think about having to, we used to feel a sense of acceptance or a sense of pride or a sense of self just based on our family identity. Now we just base it on, like he said, follower counts. How many strangers are liking my posts that I put up? That's what stimulates me. That's what makes me feel good. And in order to appeal to that particular audience, do you think that just being real appeals to people on Instagram? Or do you think a lot of the fake things, a lot of the things that are not necessarily productive in a positive way are appealing to Instagram or on all these other social media platforms? Some of the fear mongering. That's all the things that are typically going to move us in a more negative direction. Those are the things that appeal to us in a lot of ways. And we've been conditioned that way. So those are the things that we focus on. Shout out to Mama Lay. What does Mama Lay always remind me? The things that whatever we focus on grows. So where does that leave us in a year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, if there's a world 100 years from now?
Why? Fear of ostracism. The fear of being labeled.
And what did I just do? A lot of people can say that that's fear mongering. If there's a world 100 years from now, I'm just saying, based on where all this stuff is going, look, let me be very clear. I'm rooting for there to be a world. Like I'm actually rooting for us to turn this ship around or figure out how we can get through these demonic times that we're living in. I actually know I'm looking forward to getting older and aging like some fine wine. Like I'm actually looking forward to the hard work that's going in right now to being able to enjoy these spoils with family and friends and y'all. When I mean family and friends, I don't want this to go in a negative direction. Definitely not rooting for that. Definitely not rooting for that. So all these predictions that may be made, and I may align with Professor Jiang on or anybody else saying like, yo, America's done. Even though I may say like, yo, that seems like a very accurate direction. I'm praying for a miracle. I'm praying for a miracle. That's what I'm praying for. We've seen miracles happen before. So I'm praying for one. And that miracle just may be us free thinking for ourselves. If all of us, the more and more of us decide to just free think and come together and unite and do what Cash said, it's very simple. Everybody just love everybody. If your religious principles are teaching you anything other than that, then you're probably following the wrong religion. You're probably following a false god. If whatever leader, religious leader, politician is telling us anything other than, yo, we all need to get to a place where we could just love everybody, then then I would just say that that's not a leader that I want to follow.
Being seen as one of them. It's constant in the background of everything. And that is not accidental. And obviously, social media didn't invent fear, but it multiplied it by orders of magnitude. And here's why. Fear scales engagement better than any other emotion. It speeds reaction. It reduces nuance. It increases sharing, and it locks your memory in place. So the system learns. It tracks what spikes your heart rate, what makes you comment, what makes you argue, what makes you pissed off, and it feeds you more of that shit. Every post is a potential punishment that we're dealing with. Hate, panic, fear, and anger become advertising products. The longer you stay emotionally activated, the more valuable you become in real dollars.
I think this is a good point, based around fear. And probably I'm gonna have to stop it here, but I just want to end with this point. As far as fear, it's funny because I've watched Critical. Give me a sec. I watched Nick Fuentes give what I believe was probably one of his most mature monologues, and I think it was driven just based on fear. I saw him go on Alex Jones's show, and Alex Jones definitely was fearful for a few different reasons. I mean, he was crying while he was on the show with Nick. And I realized that the fear, when it came to Nick Fuentes, actually brought him to a spot where I thought he should have been all along with, hey, it's not about black versus white. It's not about Muslim versus Christian. It's not about men versus women. It's not about Democrat versus Republican. It's about whoever wants to come together and just figure out how we can have a government and a country that embraces putting America first, prioritizing fixing American problems, and us coming together and uniting as Americans. And that was the message. And I'm like, well, damn, it took fear for you to get there. Like, bro, you could, like, maybe if you would have embraced that type of message earlier, then with the influence that you have, maybe we wouldn't have got to this position. So it's almost like some people have to have fear in order to course correct, maybe, or to, yeah, I guess the proper way we look at to say course correct. And other people, fear may lead us in a direction to do maybe what Donald Trump's doing right now, maybe what Israel's doing right now. So there's different ways, and I think when it comes down to it, we just have to be very well aware of how our thoughts and how our feelings are impacting a lot of our decisions. How our fear may be impacting our thoughts, and how our thoughts may be leading to impact our action. So I think the more that we're aware, and that awareness comes with us putting down our phones, being still. I was talking to my mom the other day. She was sitting at the table eating, and she was saying, you know, sometimes she doesn't like to just watch TV. She just wants to just sit, kind of be in her thoughts, look out the window, and you know, just relax and kind of just free her mind a bit. And when we have more of that, I think that's when we're going to have less of the distractions, less of the manipulation, less of the fear, less of the control, and we can kind of get more to a solution-based mindset where it's like, okay, we can figure this out. You know, okay, these are how I need to be formulating my thoughts. This is the positive energy that I need to be putting out to society, these things. So what is, I think Mama Lay, you have a quote that says, it's something about be still, trust and be still or something. I think it's a part of scripture. Being still, you just wrote it. That's funny. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And the being still, I think is, you know, that's what comes in the form of meditation. You know, that's why we did the meditation last week, where we just took an hour, or was it 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, to just be still, you know, to remind ourselves like, yo, we are in control of a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. And we can use that leverage that we all have in unity, which gives us even more leverage because we have that compounding effect that's created with a mastermind, a mastermind, when, you know, more than two people get together, or more than one person gets together, and you're able to do a lot more together collectively than you would if you just added up what each people can do as individuals. So, look, we're in a challenging spot. But just because we're in a challenging spot does not mean that we need to move with fear. We understand that we're up against a big challenge, but we should also understand and trust, as Finn always reminds us, that we have that light within us. As Mama Lay reminds us that it's in us. Everything that we may close our eyes and pray to and ask for to save our society, all these things, we have to remind ourselves that we have every bit of that light within us. And if you do not feel that you have it within you, then perhaps the answer is to just get around other people that do, because that may inspire you to you know, where you can't find something, where you now find it and realize like, oh, that's what it is. That's the light that's within all of us. And we may, hey, everybody's going through different things. We may be, that's what part of it is. You know, hey, my light may be shining a little bit brighter, or my light may be shining dimmer. So therefore, hey, I need somebody else to kind of help give me some of that power that they got, some of that juice. I need that iPhone charge. You feel me? That's exactly how we have to look at it, in my opinion. But I have to get out of here. So let me do this breath work. I hate to rush. Sorry about that. I hate to rush it, but I'm of course trying to get as much as this. But we're going to get into our breathing 4-7-8 technique, a 4-second inhale, which we're being very intentional about inhaling positive energy, 7-second hold, take in, be still, and then an 8-second release, in which we're exhaling all the negative energy coming out of our system. So I'm going to share the screen. You can either close your eyes and follow the sound, or you can open your eyes and follow the yellow dot. But we are going to start with an inhale as soon as that bell goes off. negative energy, we're going to go into our last cycle. Be very intentional with this next inhale in which we're inhaling very positive energy. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And on this last release, we're getting rid of the remaining bit of that negative energy, anything holding us back. Get it out your system. Get it out your system. All right, y'all know what we come here to do. Elevate on purpose. Figure out what it is that we want to accomplish. And let's figure out a way to not do it as individuals, but to come together. All right. We understand the power of family. We understand the power of community. We have it right here. So I'm very thankful, just like I believe that everybody else is very thankful that we have this community, because it does allow us to perhaps come together, share our thoughts, and ultimately see the world in a different way than we would have seen it by just embracing maybe the fear that we have as individuals. All right. I guess what they say is, even though I said, that if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go with a group. And I think all of us have ventured out in that first stage where we go out on our own. I think it was Samira, where Samira was saying, a lot of my family members aren't talking to me. We're going out on our own. Sometimes it's necessary to go out on our own obviously we want people to, be along with us, but sometimes we got to go out on our own and find other individuals that are out there on our own, link, and then build and grow. So that way we can set the precedent and get to a point where then we can grab everybody else up to get to this positive place and then compound on that. So I hate to leave y'all like that, but oh yeah, you got to figure out what you're gonna concentrate on. All right. When we talk about having strength and honor, moving onward and upward, having that right trajectory to make that impact on the world that we like to call our personal legend, we got to make sure that we're focusing on the right things. So that's what we call what's in our bag. So the things that are in my bag that I focus on: peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity. Got to have that balance. And always got to have that perspective. So, and I see you, Shy. Shout out to my girl, Shy, in the building. We are on Discord. Just got to get with it. Yeah, I got to get better with the Discord. If somebody can, even though I'm about to sign out, if somebody can stay here. If you could put the Discord in the chat. Hold on, let me see if I can do it real quick. Don't leave yet. And on your way out, definitely hit that like button if you haven't already. But let me see if I could just get this Discord up real quick. Let me see. Invite members, copy link. All right. I'm sorry that I hate to run out on y'all, but I will see y'all over the weekend. All right. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And apologies that I couldn't read all the outro. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use them. Thinking that we used to create them. Albert Einstein. I'm sorry. I don't even want to disrespect them and read them so fast, but y'all make sure y'all stay in here. Y'all stay in here. Make sure y'all tapping in with the chat. We always get some wise words from our big bros and big sis after the show. So appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see y'all over the weekend.